A very happy birthday. Dr. Ruth, you and I also have a love affair. The last time we saw each other was in Jerusalem, in your hotel, and you were honored by the Jerusalem Cinematheque for your role in film at the Jewish Film Festival.
This past year.
You lit the Chanukiah. You were there during Hanukkah at the Israel Museum.
Zion.
Right.
Wait, my name is still at the King David on the floor.
Not too many people can say that. Now, I know that you're most famous for that 3-letter word.
Don't say it here.
I won't say it.
Only I can say it.
I can't say it without
They all
blushing.
think about it, but I can say it.
But I want to talk to you about a 6-letter word, Israel, and your relationship with Israel. Not many people know where it began. Tell us the story.
Okay, very short. I was born in Frankfurt and raised in an Orthodox Jewish home, was the only child. And in 1938, there was a conference in Evian that even Truman had sent an emissary, let's save German Jewry, and that conference failed miserably. The only thing that came out of that conference was that England, despite the dark clouds on the horizon, took 10,000 Jewish children. Holland, Belgium, France, and Switzerland took 300 children each, supposedly for 6 months, so that the parents would be able to immigrate. I was with that group to Switzerland. I will never know how come, because if I had been in Holland, Belgium, or France, I wouldn't be alive. I was in a children's home in Switzerland that became an orphanage. And fortunately, because of the love of Israel, many of us, right away after World War II, 1945, went to then Palestine. When I am at a conference like this, I can't believe that my dreams and my dancing in the streets of Jerusalem and my being a sniper in the Haganah, watch out, I can still put 5 bullets in that red circle. I know how to put a Sten gun together with my eyes closed. I know how to throw hand grenades. I've never killed anybody. I was very badly wounded in 1948 when a pagasse, a cannonball, came into the girls' residence where I lived in Jerusalem. And I was badly hurt, both legs. That's not why I'm short. I would have been short anyway. But never in my wildest dreams would I have believed that we have to have such sadness in terms of what's happening in the world and what's happening in Israel. But for people like me, the one outcome of my having been an orphan of the Holocaust, I'm not a survivor because I wasn't in a camp, but my whole family were killed in Auschwitz. But the one thing that comes out of that is that you have to stand up, be counted, and you have to work for Tikkun Olam, for kind of repairing the world. I did not know that my repairing the world would be talking about sex from morning till night. So this conference, Steve, is really very important. I'm on my way to Israel. On June 8th, 2 of my books, my latest books I now have about, Mr. Ross did it, so I'll do it too. I have a book called The Doctor is In, Amazon, and I have a book called Leopold, a children's book about turtles, both translated into Hebrew. So I'm going and do the Shavua HaSefer in Jerusalem. You should go with me.
I will.
Okay. And I'm really very, very pleased to be able to still talk about that subject matter and to talk about Israel. Let me first tell you something fast. I did a radio program in Frankfurt. I don't like to be in Frankfurt because that's where I saw my family the last time. But when you do publish books, you have to go where the books are published. And they made a surprise for me. They had Zubin Mehta, the conductor of the Israeli Philharmonic, call from Istanbul. And they asked him, Mr. Mehta, what do you like about Dr. Ruth? He said, that fits into the conference. He said, number one, she's short. When I lift her up, I feel like a basketball player. Number two, she speaks what's called in Hebrew dugri, straightforward about that subject matter that he likes to hear about. And the third thing was her love for Israel. From my hearing, love of Israel in Frankfurt am Main, where I lost my whole family, made it really possible that I am very grateful to everything that has happened to me.
Your story is so inspiring, and you have 2 sons and grandchildren, and you decided...
Wait, I have the best grandchildren, and I show that in a film and on the theater, and I show the picture of my 4 grandchildren, Ari, Leora, Michal, and Benjamin, and I say, Hitler lost and I won.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And of course, you still speak Hebrew, and you're fluent in Hebrew. What are we doing wrong in Israel? How can we get the message across more effectively?
So I am going to disappoint you. Somebody like me, who talks about those things, the 3-letter word that you mentioned, does not talk about politics.
Okay.
I do not talk about politics. Not in this country. I vote since I became an American citizen. But people like me have to stay away from politics. However, I'm particularly interested when I go every year. I would like to see that we are doing more in terms of educating, that we are doing more in terms of educating about the Arab culture to Israeli children, and about Israeli culture to the Arab children. So I'm very much concerned that there has to be more of a dialogue. And now that you are going to retire, do not retire, do rewire. I think you and I will do something together that will have an impact in terms of education. Not just about sex, but in terms of education.
It's a deal.
Okay.
Let me ask you, when you were in Israel, you made a very serious comment. You were concerned about the high divorce rate in Israel. Up to 1/3 of Israeli couples get divorced. How do you explain that?
Okay, first of all, for us in the Jewish tradition, thank God, divorce is possible. Because I know there's a problem because it's only the man who can say, I give you a divorce. I know about the Aguna problem. But in the Jewish tradition and in my professional life, when a couple came to me to my office, and when I, in that first intake, saw that they really hate each other, I said, don't waste my time, your money, go to see an attorney. So I am not against divorce. I have never told a couple, stay together for the sake of the children. Because shlom bayit, peace in the home, if they really dislike each other, is not possible. What is happening right now in this country, in many other countries, is that the expectations are so high that in that relationship and in trying to have shlom bayit, peace in the home, very difficult. So what we have to do as educators, we have to say, make the best of it. Try and do make the best of it. I do that by doing sex therapy. If I can teach them, for example, for me as a Jew, the reason that I was able to do what I'm doing is because I'm so Jewish. Because in the Jewish tradition, there is a midrash, a story, that says, and b'zchut harabbanut kam, with the permission of all the rabbis. Here, because I'm giving some homework right now. In the Jewish tradition it says, there's a midrash. I'm not saying which pasuk and which parasha. They have to find that. It says, which night of the week is a couple supposed to engage in that activity that I talk about?
Shabbat.
Shabbat. So here is a rabbi engaging in that activity. He feels there is something not quite kosher. He's an Orthodox rabbi. He gets out of bed. Does he put on the light? No, it's Friday night. He looks a little around, he opens the curtains, and lo and behold, he finds Moishele, his favorite yeshiva bucher, under his bed. He pulls him out. He says, is that derech eretz? Is that proper behavior to be under the rabbi's bed when the rabbi is performing the mitzvah of mishgal, the mitzvah of intercourse? I'm looking if you get red or not. Not yet. And Moishele crawls out and says, Rabbi, what you are doing is Torah, and Torah I must learn from you. So it permitted me to talk about those things. Now I'm giving them homework.
Okay.
Everybody here who has a partner, don't just pick up somebody in the audience. I'm old-fashioned, I'm a square, I speak explicitly. Everybody here who has a partner, a wife, girlfriend, whatever, tonight you are going to try a new position in that area of expertise that I talk about. And then tomorrow you call me and you tell me, because I might learn something new. There's another reason why, as a Jew, I can talk about these things, because in the Talmud it says, a lesson taught with humor is a lesson attained. I couldn't tell you a joke. I hear jokes every day. But I can see the humor in something that you are asking, and that's how people will remember.
Okay, I'm going to... You've made me red, but I don't want to embarrass you, but I know that your first sexual experience was in Israel.
Guess what? He read my book. Okay, to put on the table, I'm very much Zionist, as all of you know. I go every year to Israel. I thought I would live my whole life on a kibbutz. That didn't work out. I was in a kibbutz near Nahalal, but there is no question that near the Refet, where the cows were, there was
cow shed.
There was a beautiful place for the hay, and and the stars in Israel, they have a special quality of being wonderfully brilliant. And it's true, there was a good-looking fellow. I'm not saying his name, but I was friend with him and his wife for my whole life. But he was in the brigade, in the British brigade. I have to say something. I guess, first of all, they mentioned West Point with Marcus before. I have to tell you that on June 1st, I'm being honored at the Museum of Jewish Heritage, Living Memorial to the Holocaust. It's around my birthday, and we are having a program which has some dealing with what you are saying in terms of my background and my love for Israel. We are sending cadets for West Point. We are sending midshipmen from the Naval Academy and others. We send them for 10 days to Auschwitz to learn about issues of ethical behavior, so that the military leadership will learn something from the past. Because if you don't learn from the past, you know that you repeat it. So that has something to do afterwards they also very often go to Israel. My granddaughter went on the March of the Living. She held my book in her hands and she wrote that she felt that she is walking in the footsteps of my father in Auschwitz. Then they go to Israel, Yom HaZikaron, Yom HaAtzmaut, and all of you here, I'm going at this stage in my life again, next Sunday, the Israel Day Parade. I'm taking one of those golf carts because it's too boring to be on a float. I'm not on a float. I'm going on a golf cart up and down Fifth Avenue, and I want to see all of you there. That's for love of Israel.
You know, every time I'm with you, I wonder to myself, where do you get all this energy from?
Now, first of all, since you are going to rewire, maybe I'm going to convince you to become a sex therapist. Because part of my love, part of my joie de vivre, that's what the new book is about, has to do, it's wonderful that I meet people who say over the years, they listened to me on radio. By the time they got home, I did it 10 years. By the time they got home, they were nicely sexually aroused. My next question, I say, so I provided you with sexual arousal? They say, yes. I say, give me some money for my favorite charity. So it works very well to be able to talk about these things, and at the same time, I get tremendous recognition when people say, I listened to you, and you helped me. So maybe that divorce rate that you were talking about, maybe what we do need is more therapists, more relationship therapists, more sex therapists, in order to try to see that couples can work it out.
What is your main message to couples who are having problems?
The first message is admit that you have a problem. Second message, we, especially in this country, also in Israel, I have done sex therapy, the first one ever at Shaare Zedek, in an Orthodox hospital, so with seniors. So the first thing to do is to recognize you have a problem. Go for help. Go for help. If it is something that can be helped, I don't want to be so explicit at the Jerusalem Post here.
We're very conservative.
I know. So, look, we in this country have the best scientifically validated data about human sexuality that has ever been available. Israel also has some very good programs. What we do need to say is, if the problem is in that area, if it's boredom, if it's something that has to do with that area of expertise that I talk about, go for help.
Dr. Ruth, sei gesund, שתהיי בריאה, be healthy, and mazal tov from all of us.
תודה רבה. So,